Hey guys, it's Rick here today with another video. And um, today's match is the last match of the Open Game das Fitas tournament that I've been covering during the past month. And yeah, this one was a very very interesting and long match. So get ready for another 30-minute plus video for sure. So, my opponent started with knight f3. Just to give you some context, as you see, my opponent was 1276, so a considerable amount of points lower than me, which is always double edged. You know, you might think, okay, I'll have an easy match, chill, but the thing is that you don't gain a lot of points by playing these lower rated players, and you also, if you lose, you lose a lot of points. It's just normal. It is what it is. And I wasn't really in the mood to actually play this game because I was just so tired. Like, it was my first tournament with double rounds, and there were like 3 days with double rounds back to back to back, and that is so tiring, especially when most of my games are are just like marathons. Honestly, it was crazy. And so yeah, knight f3. I went knight f6, and he went b3. I mean, it's just this setup that a lot of people use that normally they don't want to study theory and stuff like that. I respect that. And they just want to play a slow game where they just try to get some pawn breaks and stuff like that. So here, I mean, I just go for the reverse London system, and yeah, I mean, he goes for d4, so he goes for like a call system kind of setup, and yeah, this is pretty much like very comfortable for black. It's very slow opening for white, where they just want to slowly eat in the center and gain some space, but you have a lot of time to do your own stuff as well. So yeah, knight bd7, he went bishop d3, I went takes, queen takes, c6. Yeah, I mean, c6, I don't know if c6 was really necessary. I could even go for just c5 straight away, or I could try to just castle quickly. And yeah, I'm not really too worried because on c4, then I can play c6 and it makes more sense than to just play c6 straight away. But I mean, I'm gonna play c6 probably. It was just my plan, so I mean, I can also do it just now. It doesn't really make much difference. Knight bd2, bishop d6, castles, and I mean, yeah, this position is just like c4 as expected. And here I played queen e7 here. Queen e7, I mean, with the ideas of connecting my rooks and maybe play for e5, maybe trade these bishops right here. It's a very boring opening to be playing against, but yeah. Rook c1, rook c8, rook d1. I just played a6 here. I could have gone rook d8 and just imitate him, just playing like he's playing, but I decided that, of course, I wanted to win, and yeah, I had to create some imbalances in the position. So my idea with a6 was that I really wanted to go b5, and start putting pressure on the queen side and opening some lines and stuff like that. So here he went with h3, and here I thought, okay, I mean, yeah, it makes sense just making like prophylactic moves. I could go probably h6 here as well, just copy him, right? But I thought, okay, I have time for that. I'm not gonna get attacked anytime soon, so let's go bishop a3 and try to trade the bishops and also get in, get into his position if he takes my bishop. He took my bishop, I went in with my queen, and I already had some pressure on a2 here and b3, so that was nice. And yeah, he went for rook c2, protecting. Um, And here I went for b5. Not a great move. Of course, the engine just wants me to chill and to just play like rook fd8, also h6, just normal moves, waiting moves. But I was like, I'm just gonna play b5, and just try to open things up and complicate the position because it's so symmetrical and it's so like that almost. Uh, if I just copy these moves, so yeah, I wasn't gonna have a boring game like that. It went c5 as I expected because of course it doesn't really want to take and open things up just yet. So we went c5 here, and here I feel like I made the first like probably big mistake of the game. I went rook e8, and here the problem with rook e8 that I thought that of course here like what I should do is probably play a queen a5, because the thing is that I don't want to get my queen kind of trapped here without any help of my other pieces. So I already provoked c5. Maybe now I can come back and play for e5. To break this structure with e5. And yeah, I have some plans, but here I decided, okay, I have time to bring my queen back, so I'll just play rook e8, to prepare this sort of e5 idea once I come back with the queen, blah blah blah. But the problem is really as queen c3, and queen c3 is very annoying because now I'm forced pretty much to play b4, and once I play b4, he he challenged my queen, saying, "Do you want to trade?" I don't really want to trade. I don't think that trading here helps me in any sort of way. Maybe it would help now that I'm seeing maybe queen b2, rook takes b2, and what else? What can I do? Like maybe straight up e5. Straight up e5. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it looks like it could be something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, maybe it doesn't really amount to anything. Um, but yeah, I didn't want to trade, so I just came back here, and here he played a move wasn't that I thought that he couldn't play, and it is a very nice move. And honestly, like after this move, I knew that I mean this guy being 1200 doesn't make any sense. He's way better than 1200 because he plays a3, and a3 is very annoying for me, and it's a very good move. At first sight, it just looks like it's a free pawn, but here, I mean, the thing that I was scared of was after taking a3, I was scared of him playing like rook a1. But actually, this doesn't work, and I didn't see why. Because I have rook, I have queen takes knight here, and the problem is that if he takes my queen, which he kind of has to, um, I just take his queen. So let's say knight takes, and then takes, and I'm just a piece. Which I didn't see this, and I thought that he had to play rook a1, which it's a blunder, and he didn't blunder like this. He actually played queen a2, which is one of the best moves, and I thought that he blundered because I thought that he could play rook a1, and it was way better. Because like I thought that this would be very good because if I just took the queen, you would just have queen rook takes a5. He's pressuring this pawn. He's pressuring this pawn. He's entering the position, and I thought that was crude, but yeah, the correct move actually is to play what he played, which is queen a2 or queen a1. And here I just striked with e5 because, I mean, he's just gonna double up, regain the pawn, have pressure on this file, and I thought that, okay, my attempt to complicate things wasn't really paying out like I wanted to, so I mean, if he's gonna have to waste time capturing this pawn and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I'm gonna try to just open some lines and just get my pieces active, you know. So e5, good move, I think. Practically a good move. He plays rook a1. I mean, okay. I thought let's just open things up. E takes e5, e takes d5, d4 actually. Sorry, excuse me. And here I went queen b5. Um, yeah, just you know, getting a hold of this square. He plays queen takes pawn, and here I just went on to the offensive with queen d3. Yeah, um, I haven't analyzed this game in a long while, so excuse me. So my idea with queen b5 wasn't really to have an hold of this square, was to actually get in with the queen and attack the rook. So after this, he played queen b2, and here I thought for a while, and I kind of concluded that I needed to bring my pieces in somehow, and I played knight e4, which apparently is a blunder. Here, the engine suggests knight h5 as the best move. Knight e4 takes, and here I took with a d pawn, and apparently this was already losing because of rook c3, and on rook c3, bishop b5, knight d2. It just wasn't easy to play this position, and yeah, I don't have e3, and I just, yeah, it feels like, it doesn't feel like I'm completely losing, but it feels like I'm worse for sure. But yeah, I ended up taking with a pawn here, and he attacked my queen another way. He went rook d2, and here it's completely equal. It's funny how just a small difference like rook c3 to rook c2 to rook d2 like can change the whole evaluation of the computer. So here I just went to b5 again, and he went knight e1. And here I believe that the difference between rook d2 and rook c3 is that now I have what I wanted, which was e3, and opening up his king, creating some pressure, opening the files, and yeah, just getting active. I took with the rook, and he played b4 to defend the pawn, which was attacked, defending it on more active way. And here I just went rook e8. In hindsight, maybe I could have played rook b8, but I thought that this really didn't have much of like a sort of purpose, because he could just defend the pawn with the knight or with the rook. So I just decided, let's just try to dominate the e file. He played knight c2, which I was expecting, and here I played a rook e2. Yeah, here he played rook takes rook. I played rook takes, and here he played rook e1. And this was the point of the match where I had the opportunity to be better for the first time, and I didn't play the correct move. I moved to c4, trying to attack the knight and force him to take the rook. But the best move here was rook e1, and after knight takes e1, just playing knight f6, you know, and I have pressure on this pawn. You know, my knight is getting in somehow, and yeah. But I went queen c4, forcing him to take. I took, and here he played queen c3, and I thought that I had to be better because I was way more active. His king was kind of naked, you know, and yeah, I mean, I thought I just had a active queen and stuff like that, and I should be at least a bit better. He played queen c3 here, and I played knight f6, which apparently was bad. Just getting Luft was better, h6 or h5. I play knight f6, and here he plays knight. He plays queen g3, which is very nice because I, of course, I can't take the queen. Otherwise, I get mated, you know. So that was nice by him. Queen g3, and here I was like, ugh, I have to make Luft, okay, h5. And here, I mean, he plays knight e3, and all of a sudden, like, I'm the one who's, like, kind of screwed because, like, he's covering all the checks, and his pieces are starting to attack my king, and all of a sudden, in just 3 moves, I was already, like, how did this happen, you know? I was already frustrated with my position. I played queen b2, trying to pressure the pawns, you know, see what he's gonna do to that threat. He played king h2 here. There was also a trick. Queen b2 also prepared a trick that if he went knight f5 here, I would be winning because I had queen b1 check, picking up the knight. So, of course, he didn't fall for that. He's strong enough to not fall for that type of stuff. He played king h2. And here we were already in a bit of time trouble, I should say. Uh, it was already like the 37th move, and we were a bit on time trouble. So I played queen f5, trying to stop knight f5. But here he makes a really nice move. Queen g5. So now the queen alone doesn't stop knight f5. And here I sort of thought that I was way worse and I had to make a really bad move. What I ended up playing kind of loses the match. So far, the engine says that it's completely equal. Uh, Believe it or not, the engine's choice is queen takes b4, which I thought would be completely impossible due to knight f5. And here, like, what do I do? Is threatening this right here. You know, it's how do I stop it? If I play g6, he gets the knight for. He gets the knight. I thought that he would get the knight for sure because of like 97. And you know, I mean, maybe he didn't get the knight. I thought that he would just get the knight here, and this would be good for him. But apparently, this is all equal. So I really assessed the position wrongly. Here, after knight f5, I can just play queen b8, and after h1, apparently f8. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see all of this, honestly. I have to say that I thought that I had to stop knight f5 at all costs, and it's kind of sad because even rook c1 here would do the job, of course, because actually queen c1. Sorry if I'm confusing all the names. It's been a while since I've done this, recorded these videos. Um, queen c1 is very nice because like the knight is pinned. But yeah, queen takes b4, even queen e4 apparently, and after knight f5 I can just go knight e8. Also, like, I wanted to check with the engine if I could actually just take this pawn right here, and after knight f5 just knight e8 to protect this pawn this way, but apparently it's not good because of knight e7, and after king f8 knight takes c6, which I also didn't see, but yeah, makes sense. Yeah, very complicated position in my opinion, and I ended up playing a very bad move, unfortunately, which was queen g6, which, I mean, just gives him a 2 point lead, a 2 point advantage, which is kind of winning. And here, of course, I took, and he brought the king up. And here I knew that I would only be playing for a draw or a loss. I had no chances of winning this because my pawns are just so bad, you know. I went g5, trying to stop his king from coming in. He went d5, very nice move, you know, just forcing me to take, and he's just gonna create a passed pawn. C takes d5 and then c6, and here I was already very very uncomfortable and very like annoyed by what turned out to be, and I really thought that Queen G6 was kind of forced. And looking back at it, yeah, I mean the defensive tools to get the draw there were kind of insane. I couldn't calculate all of that. Um, so yeah, here I just went knight check, which just loses on the spot here. Like the computer still says that it's kind of a draw after king f7, but yeah, I just I was afraid of just c7, and now this makes a difference because on knight e4, king f3, knight e6, like I don't know, but I thought that it was the same if I did this order, but apparently this order just loses. Uh, king f3 and here I went knight d6. I thought that this would be the same, and after knight takes d5, uh, king f8. But let's bring back here after king f7, uh, c7, knight e4, king f3, knight d6, knight takes d5. This is different, I guess, because my king is closer, but it's really hard to understand. Here, the engine suggests knight c8, and it suggests knight c3. Now, you would never play knight c3. What is this? But yeah, very complicated. This type of endgames are very complicated, and it's normal to make these mistakes. And of course, time trouble also didn't help. But yeah, king f3, I went knight d6, he went knight takes d5, and yeah, I mean, look at this position. This is so bad. I went king f8, he went c7, and here I just thought, okay, I had to stop the. I have to stop the pawn somehow, and I just went knight c8 because I thought that if I played something like king e8, I just thought that I was completely losing after knight b6, because I can't even get in, I can't even get in, so I thought that I would be completely lost because if I can't get into the position, I mean, if I play king e7, he just promotes and I have to take, and I thought that this would be losing because I'm just down a piece, just down a piece, I have no chance, and this is completely losing. So I played knight c8 to stop that idea. You went king e4, I went king e8, you went king d4, king d7, and king c5 here. And yeah, this is just completely losing. I'm pretty much out of moves, and yeah, he's just gonna win my pawns and just crush me. I went g4, just in desperation, just like whatever, I have to make a move, so let's just go g4. h6 g4, h6 g4, and here he just went knight b6, and of course I can't take the knight because then he just takes, and yeah, I mean, can't stop this pawn after king there, if I block this, he's just gonna pick up the pawn and then just mate me. So here I just took the pawn, he took the knight, I took the knight, and he went king b6, and I went king b8, king a6, king a8, king b6, king b8. I was like, okay, let's repeat. Let's maybe repeat. Can we repeat? That would be nice. But yeah, here I just thought that I still had some chances, some practical chances, because like he's not gonna be able to promote this pawn, right? Because like I sorta can just wait, and I have the opposition, so it's a draw if there's only these pieces on the board. It's a draw because I have the opposition, right? And my idea to try to defend this position, even though it was lost, was that, okay, I'm just gonna push my pawns, and it's gonna take time to go get my pawns, right? And if I can get this position right here on this side of the board once the position transposes, it's a draw, right? This position is a draw, theoretical draw, if you only look at this side of the board. So if I can do the same that I did here to this side, I'll be able to draw, and that was my goal. So let's see if I managed to do this. This already says mate in 20, just to see how bad this is for me. Mate in 20 after g3. But he played king c6, I played g3, very important move. He went b5, I went king c8, you know, trying to still have the opposition, and he went king d6, so he's just going for my other pawns, right? So it's time for me to also go for his pawns. So king b7, king e7, and believe it or not, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. After my move king b7, it's obvious that I want to get this pawn, and it's kind of obvious that he wants to go get these pawns, right? But believe it or not, there's only two moves that keep the like 100 points advantage. So there's only two moves that still keep the win, and these moves are king c5 and king d5. Crazy, right? If he goes pawn b6, it's a draw. If he goes king d7, it's a draw. If he goes king e6, it's a draw. And if he goes king e5, it's a draw. So he only has two moves, which is king d5 and king c5. I would love to be able to explain you why those moves win and the other moves draw, but I'm too bad to explain that, and I'm not even gonna try to comprehend, because it would probably take me another hour of video to try to look at the engine lines and understand why. But the thing is that he ended up playing king e7, which if I was in his position, I would probably also play that, because it just seems natural. I'm just gonna get the pawns, you know? But this is drawn. This is already drawn, and let's see if I manage to convert. So king b6, king f7, king takes b5, and king g7. And here, like here, I had like probably like 6 to 5 minutes on the clock, maybe 7 minutes, 6, 5, like low time on the clock. But I knew that maybe this, I didn't know that this was a draw already, but I thought maybe this has to be a draw, and I have to calculate, because there's a lot of ways to do this type of king and pawn endgames. And my idea is to get my king here once he gets the pawn. So after he takes the pawn here, I want my king to land here, and that was the whole plan. So I went king c5. I calculated that if I went king c5, and you know, he went, for example, king f6, I couldn't go king d4. So I'm gonna show you while playing. It's easier. So king c5. I mean, I calculated that after king f6, king d4, king f5. You know, king e3. It looks like I'm getting his pawn, and maybe I am the one winning. But the problem is that after king g4, king f2, he has an in-between move here, that is king h3, and I can't keep protecting this pawn. So this is what I think it's called, like distant opposition, or there's another term for this type of move, you know, of waiting move. Like, of course, I'm in Zugzwang, but there's another name for that. So I calculated that this didn't work. This was losing. So I went back here, king c5, and he played king f7, and I calculated that I had to keep the distant opposition, right? So I went king d6, maintaining the opposition, went king f5, and here there's only one move that keeps the opposition. For example, if I do the same, king d5, this is completely losing, because after king f4, you know, now, like, remember, it's threatening to take this pawn. And if I go here and it threatens this pawn, like, I'm no longer in with the opposition. He is the one who has the opposition, right? So king e7 is the only way to actually keep the opposition, because now after he goes king g4, I go king f6, and once he takes my pawn, I get king g5. So I had to calculate all of this uh, basically after this. After he took the pawn, I had to calculate all of this. Thankfully, I managed to calculate all of this. And yeah, um, of course, I had to calculate all the ways they could get that pawn, but I managed to do that. And I was so proud because I was so long time. And after he took the pawn and I played king g5, I already knew that this was a draw, because this is just a theoretical draw, one of the first endgame like positions that you study, that you should study and learn. And yeah, after this, I mean, I was just so relieved. I was like, okay, I can't believe I managed to get a draw out of this. Um, just I'm gonna play you this draw. Pretty much, you have to keep the opposition. And okay, now how do you get opposition? You might think, okay, maybe I played king f6 to get the opposition. But the thing is that king f6, king f4, he gets the opposition, but you still have king g6. But in order to not confuse myself, I always play king g6 in these positions, because once he plays king f4, I go here. And it's it still draws like this, but I don't like, because it is more confusing. I think you should always do the same to not confuse yourself. So king g6, king f4, king f6 opposition, he plays g5, king g6, king g4, he has opposition, right? But he's not in front of the pawn, so I just drop back king g7, and once his king comes in, opposition right here. He pushes the pawn, king g7, king g5, king g8, king h6, king h8, and the kid offered the draw. Um, yeah, I was playing a kid, very talented kid, and this was insane match, insane comeback from me from being absolutely lost and still managing to not give up, not resign. And even though endgames are completely my weakness, I managed to show that I'm at least decent at king and pawn endgames in time pressure, which was incredible for me to, even without any real practice. Actually, uh, I think I only managed to hold this endgame because, like, some weeks before the tournament, just randomly, I watched a YouTube video by a grandmaster about king and pawn endgames, and it was like an 1 hour and 30 minute lecture on king and pawn endgames, and he just talked about like the basics and the principles and these type of positions of king and pawn endgames. And yeah, I mean, I think it was because of that video that I just watched randomly that I like completely managed to hold this under time pressure, and I was so relieved. I still lost like quite a few points with the draw because I was way higher rated than him, but man, I could have, if I lost the game, I would lose a lot, a lot, a lot. So I was very happy to manage to just hold this game. Of course, here it's a draw because after g7, g8, I'm just in stalemate. I can't move, so that's a draw. And yeah, so I ended up just to wrap up this video in the tournament, which this was the final round, seventh round. Yeah, I ended up performing like it was expected. My goal was to get 4 points out of 7, which I failed to do so. I had 3.5 out of 7, so it's just middle of the pack performance, It was literally 50%. I scored 50%, 3.5 out of 7. And yeah, in the end, in these tournaments, you start in a position based on your elo, and yeah, I finished like 2 positions above my starting position. So I finished like 2 positions better than what I started, which is pretty much nothing in a 132 player tournament. But yeah, I was still satisfied with the overall uh, with my overall performance, which also we need to take in account the fact that it was a very very tiring and grueling um, tournament format. With so many games close to each other, and 3 days in a row with 2 games, one in the afternoon, one at night, or like in the last day, it was one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So very tough to deal with all of that, plus the you know nerves and stuff like that, and not eating the best food, not sleeping the best, and it's tough. But I learned, and I really enjoyed my experience with this. I even got an autograph by a grandmaster. I believe I haven't showed it yet, but it's probably somewhere around here. Yeah, it's here. I got a signature by Daniel Campora, an Argentinian grandmaster, really legend that um, beat Nigel Short in a championship some time ago. We drew against Karpov a few times, played against Kasparov, lost, but played against Vishwanath Anand. He just played against all these legends, and yeah, it was very nice to get an autograph by that. Of course, he also won the tournament, so yeah, it was very nice to talk to him and get an autograph. And yeah, as far as that, next video I'll cover the last round, very important round of the third division, to see if we managed to get the draw or the win that we needed to stay in the division, or if we lost and got under promoted, relegated. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. It was another like uh super long video, but if you stayed till this point in the video and you're still hearing me, I mean, dude, bless up. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.